is up with the squad? It's your favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies in the building with Political Lil. We talking Upshot today, Lil. I mean, look, that's
power. We talking power.
Power. You know, here go Instagram acting crazy. 1 second. But let's get it. Welcome in, y'all. Welcome in. PoliSports Tea Time. Y'all know what it is. Get your tea out, your coffee, Coca-Cola, water, whatever it is that you're taking in. But we're going to get it to y'all live, raw, unfiltered right now. Powered by Cess Talk Sports and BY's PoliSports Podcast. Sports, power, politics. Link straight to the culture. Cess, favorite auntie with Uncle Tendencies. We're going to pour this fresh brew truth. Grab your cup. This basketball world is boiling. Upshot League. 4 teams, 4 cities, whole lot of noise. Some calling it opportunity, Leo. Some calling it a takeover move. Stepping in while the WNBA is locked in a fight for fair pay, equity, ownership. The NBA is in shambles today. We open the books. I need to know where the money going for real. This ain't just a basketball story. It's politics, it's money, it's movement. Every time women gain momentum, a new league pops up, promising to change the game. Real question though tonight is who's holding the power behind the curtain? Is Upshot revolution or just another distraction dressed up in shiny branding? That's the tea we gonna spill tonight. Help me break this all down. You already know who it is. The truth dropper, the political sharpshooter, my PoliSports partner in analysis, the one and only Political Lil. She's here to peel back the layers, help us see what's really at play behind this new era of women's hoops. Lil, the floor is yours. Let's set this up right for people.
You know, the conversation is about more than basketball. You know, what we're witnessing with the Upshot is a reconfiguration of power. And that's the main thing in America. Everything is about power. So when a league pops up, it's not just about who's dribbling on the court. Who's controlling the system behind the curtain is the bigger thing. So, you know, whenever women start demanding equity, whether it's in sports, business, or politics, this is the establishment responding. So sometimes with opportunity and sometimes with distraction. So the real story isn't just what Upshot League is, but why now and who's going to benefit from its timing, its funding, and its visibility. So is this the next chapter in empowerment for women basketball? It all depends on how they dress up to play.
Yeah, exactly. How they dress up to play. So listen, let's break this down. I'm excited. I'm excited, Leo, but I'm also like, I don't know what to think. I don't know what to think. I'm taking it with a grain of salt. I'm taking it with a grain of salt every time. Okay. It's such a hot time in basketball right now, and I want to be positive, but let's just break down the rise of the Upshot League. Okay, so this is new women's hoops play. It's gonna launch in 2026, May 2026. Nicole Battle, Miracle Rider for you. Jeremy, what's good, y'all? Appreciate y'all pulling up. Hit the like and the share. They both right there. The like and the share, they both right there, y'all. Now let's talk about these 4 squads: Greensboro Groove, the Charlotte Crown, the Savannah Steel, the Jacksonville Waves. Okay, did y'all hear what I said? I said the Greensboro Groove, the Charlotte Crown, the Savannah Steel, and the Jacksonville Waves. I didn't say no New York. I didn't say no Las Vegas. I didn't say no Los Angeles. I didn't say no Atlanta. Just Southern DNA and real hoop cities. That choice alone to me says they're thinking different. They're coming at this different. The strategy and their plan is different. Smaller, local markets, close together, basketball cities, grow the game from the ground up, player development, local fan bases, community connection. So you got Donna Orander, ex-WNBA president. You got Taj McWilliams Franklin, 2-time champ, 6-time All-Star, boardroom savvy, meets on-court credibility. On paper, it's solid. I can't find no holes in it on paper, okay? Every new league is a power play. We know that. Timing gonna tell because they want this money that's out here. They didn't get into it. You don't just get into it for the good of the game, okay? Part of it is the good of the game, but you also want a return on a ROI, a return on your investment. So the WNBPA is staring down a CBA fight over revenue sharing ownership equity with a league that came out and said, y'all ain't getting no equity. We're going to give y'all a little bit more on your check. But equity, man, we silly women. We're not doing that. That's what Adam say. But I don't know. Adam might got to sing a different tune. Adam needs to get somebody on his side right now. And I mean right now. He may want to revisit his stance with the WNBA because the NBA is on Shaky ground, the way this thing is looking.
Whew. Yeah, he got his own problems.
Yeah, he got his own problems, don't he? And this new league is appearing right as all this stuff is heating up. So that's strategy. I was gonna say it ain't coincidence, but it may be a little coincidence the way this whole everything else is shaking out around the NBA. So we got to peel back the layers. Let's go, Lil. Let's break this down.
Listen, we're watching a calculated shift in the political economy of basketball, actually. Now, the Upshot League, it might look like an expansion, but it could be a containment strategy, too. You know, a way to redirect the leverage right when the WNBA movement is gaining traction. So in corporate terms, it could be competitive cushioning, giving players options and ultimate protected status quo by dividing, you know, the power and the focus. So the moment is really critical because if the Upshot League centers player ownership, profit sharing, and leadership, it's going to be revolutionary. The WNBA better watch out. You know, but if it's kind of the same, you know, hierarchy, but it don't seem like it's going that way. But if it's the same old thing and it's just you know, becoming a feeder league or something like that, you know, it might not have much punch. But then, you know, they could be sitting back looking at the situation and you know, you don't know what moves they're gonna make after all of this.
So it's funny that you say that. It's funny that you say that because I wonder if there are people who was like, hey, you know, the WNBA didn't want my money.
Mm-hmm.
Now they look like they might be in a little bit of a trick, and this league is going to be ready to go May 2026, like the WNBA was supposed to. Now we was talking about this a little backstage and away from here. We've talked about this a few times that there are a few little four league teams, four team leagues. You got the Detroit Shock League that we got up here in this Midwest area. You got this the WBL they calling that. You got this the Upshot League. I think it's a league down in the California area, and it's one other place I think they have a league where you could quickly have maybe 4 leagues come together and have 16 teams to rival what the WNBA is doing overnight.
Oh,
right?
Wait.
Some of the people who had that money that the WNBA didn't want. You know, you didn't want my 400 million. You didn't want my 50 million. You didn't want my 350 million. What if I put that money into this league now and take some of that talent that you're trying to figure out what they're going to do in 2026? So it's interesting. It's interesting. And I'm not saying that that'll happen, but it's just interesting. It's something I thought of as we talking through this. But I'm gonna ask the audience a question. I want to know, had y'all heard about the Upshot League before today? I dropped a video earlier today, and then we having this discussion about how it rivals the WNBA. So we've been trying to give y'all a little backstory of what Upshot is, and then the conversation now about how they rival the WNBA and this women's basketball climate. So yeah, I want to know if y'all heard about this league, and do y'all think are y'all buying it as a real opportunity? Are y'all buying it as a real opportunity? Keeping in mind that their goal the whole time was to be able to just pick up the little scraps of what was left out of the, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but you know what I mean. Picking up the little scraps of what was left after the WNBA draft. You know, who didn't get drafted? Let's see what we can build here. We got 44 spots to give you guys an opportunity to up your shot, right? So are y'all buying this, that it could be like this? Because, okay, and timing in sports and politics is never random. It's strategy. Upshot League is tipping off May 2026, like I said. That's the same moment when the WNBPA is, will they be getting ready to go back to work? Will there be a deal? Because they've already opted out of the CBA. They've demanded the revenue sharing, the fair travel, the equal treatment. We seeing it. The NBA, the WNBA executive office is like, yeah, we're not giving y'all none of that. So
yeah, not right now.
you think about the people behind it, some of the investors behind it. We got Cheryl Miller. We got Cheryl Miller back there. And you know, widely recognized as maybe one of the greatest women's basketball players ever, a great basketball mind. She's been around the game. I am sure that Cheryl Miller has had opportunities to be able to develop and to be able to invest in other leagues and help develop out other leagues. So the fact that she chose this one to put her name on gives it a little bit more credibility than some of these other ones. I think that's calculation too. So when labor organizes, alternatives appear, like this one, marketed as freedom, but it's often meant to fragment power. Lil, you buying this? Divide the base, weaken the movement. So the question with Upshot isn't just what is it? Is it true evolution or interference designed to reshuffle control? That's what I want to know. So the W is hotter than ever. We know that. Record attendance, record viewership, $2.2 billion media deal, players still fighting for basics. To an exec or an investor, that's the perfect storm. You get to say you support women's basketball while using this shiny new league as leverage against the union. That's why this conversation, I don't think, Lil, is just about Upshot itself. It's about the political game moving around it. So I got to ask, from your political lens, when you see a new league emerging right as these players is in renegotiation, does that look like opportunity or orchestration? Because who benefits the most when new leagues show up in moments of labor power? Let's talk about that.
It could be threefold. It could be the ownership, it could be the infrastructure, or it could wind up being the players. We really don't know, at this time, because you don't know how the WNBA game is going to pan out. Now, from my viewpoint, I see a court battle. I don't see them reaching an agreement, because each one of them kind of dug in. The players not taking pennies, and league execs say they're not giving up a dime. They're gonna stay with their sharecropping model, and they'll put a little more weight on that cotton. But they, but they're not giving up no revenue sharing. I'm like, that is just for you to
they didn't know what revenue sharing. They were like, revenue sharing? What is that? Revenue sharing? What? That was wild. That was wild to me.
I thought it was out of order. It shows that they're not going to negotiate in good faith. And so I think we're gonna have to go to a court battle, and then we can, get the books open and get everything off on the table. But I think they're gonna wind up folding the WNBA. I don't even see it going on.
That's a hot take right there. Okay, so how should we be reading the optics here then? The WNBA is finally commanding global attention, but this new alternative that popped up, before players can even get a seat at the CBA table, is this real expansion? Is this a soft reset of control disguised as progress? How should the players look at this league? What are your thoughts there?
Look, it's not a play at all. It's not a play thing. When you look at the infrastructure of Upshot and the people that they got involved in that infrastructure and the base that they have that's running the league and have ownership in the team, whoever that young man is very serious about, raising up secondary market alternatives for the fans. And then by it, I see where they're going with the coaching, and you look at some of the Black people that are in executive leadership. It looks like they're gonna open a door for Black women to be coaches, GMs, and this, that, and the other. And that's going to change the whole game as far as the labor. And I tell you why. A lot of the labor wants to play for women that look like them. Got the same color skin, got, the same kind of experience. And so, the WNBA, I think because of the old money involved and, the fact that I don't know too many slave owners, that jump up and, change the apparatus. They just, once they get that, that's a mentality. You probably could trace a lot of them back to the plantation, as far as where their money come from. But I think they would shut the league down before they would dare bargain with a Black woman who they don't respect and who they expect to only be able to exploit. And so this is going to be an alternative that I think some of the bigger players, bigger names, you just think about it. A few big names in that league could turn that league on, in a New York minute, and I, depending on, if people jump in with their money, you still got the Saudis trying to put their money somewhere, and you got LeBron hanging out here if you ain't, getting in trouble. with his money to put in, which means you might could offer $1 million salaries, right off the bat. That's gonna take your whole base. Because who gonna go to the play for the WNBA? And it's the same amount of games. They coming right out playing 40 plus games. Who gonna turn $1 million down to go play for $76,000? I mean, even if you ain't on TV, you be stupid to turn down that kind of money. But if they able to rein in, some of the players, because I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen if they wind up going to court. They have to dissolve the union in order to go for an antitrust lawsuit. You have to dissolve the union, and so that means that everybody gonna be totally free. And this is ugly. It ain't cute. It's ugly, and I blame the WNBA for not having a plan in place before this league comes aboard, and causes any kind of threat.
Oh, definitely. I'm asking y'all in the chat too. Do you think the Upshot League's timing is just good business or a strategic move to shift attention and power right before the WNBA CBA battle? And I see you, Jeremy. You say you got love for Taj McWilliams Franklin. Those are good points, Lil. I mean, only time will tell. I didn't realize that they would have to dissolve the union to be able to go after the antitrust case. So it'll be interesting to see how this thing plays out. When will we know? I guess when will we be able to tell if it's real, right? When will we be able to tell if Upshot is real? Is it being able to pull off the season? Is it the type of talent that they're able to sign? Because I can see some players that just depending on the quality of basketball, may just want to go to a league where they got a better chance of being the superstar. And that may be the Upshot, right?
Yeah, you got to remember though, Cess, within the last 3 or 4 years, you really got some solid quality players that have names from college that have been, dropped off, as far as the WNBA scene is concerned. And so I think the league could have almost instant credibility in attracting certain players, to their league. And then you still got a lot of disgruntled people making, 76,000, as far as young people. And just not making that kind of money. And somebody's, start you off with, because they have not announced, you notice that's another thing. They haven't said what the salary is going to be. So,
so I was doing some digging on that, and I figured, Lil, this gonna fall someplace in between what the WNBA is doing in international. So we know that I think each team had like 8-figure investment. So they raised
nice.
at least 8 figures for each team. Now the Greensboro Groove, I think that's their name. The Greensboro Groove, they'd already talked to the city about building a facility.
Right. The city, yeah.
They're gonna have a facility ready to go right there. Was it a facility and something for the kids too? I don't know, something creative they were trying to do there. So they got some partnerships here. It could be viable. But then I look at it and it's like, okay, so we're gonna charge $44 to reserve season tickets, and then they pricing regular tickets at about $15. Sounds familiar. It's supposed to be for the family.
Yeah, that price points, that's gonna be a seller too.
But it also becomes like how long will you be able to keep the price point at that, right? Being able to pay the players with their worth and continue to get the sponsorships. You don't have a TV deal yet, so is it $15 for now? and then when you really get going, it's gonna be 30, 40, 50,
Oh
60.
yeah,
Tell me now. You know,
yeah,
tell me now. Tell me now.
that's going to depend on how much sponsorship they can pull in,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
how much these cities that they're in, how much the the public private partnership going to be worth,
Mm-hmm.
because that a public private partnership will allow them to keep prices down.
See, I think they angling to be the G League.
I thought that was the original angle,
Because you
but
can
I don't
be,
think it's that way now.
because of what you're seeing out of the WNBA. You think that's changing? Okay, so now they
Yeah.
seeing that maybe they could just be a rival. But initially, I thought that they were coming in to be like the G League. We're gonna pick up the players that you didn't take. We're gonna let them get some development. We're gonna get some of these coaches that y'all keep firing that maybe can be real coaches, but you only let them work 13 games. We're gonna see what we can do with them. We're gonna get some general managers in here and give people an opportunity to go through a 40-game season at a pro level with expectations like what you would expect in the WNBA. So I expected at some point the WNBA would kind of swallow them up or go into a partnership with them in some of these other smaller leagues. But now it could be very much a viable option or viable only, one of the only full season 40-game season 5-on-5 options during that off season, well, during that summertime that the WNBA is usually working, if they in court and figuring all of that stuff out. Do you think it's a real chance that a big name that there's a big name in the WNBA that would leave, or do you think it would be more likely a big name coming out of college that would say, you know what, instead of going to the W, I'm gonna get this Upshot thing to try?
I absolutely believe there's a 100% chance that they're going to get a name as big as Angel Reese to come into that
Really?
league, and
Okay.
possibly her,
Wow. Okay.
because she's tied into the Florida area, number one,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and the problems that she having over in Chicago, if they refuse to trade or refuse to move her, if she doesn't want to go back there and they don't look like she does, this, she could resign and take all that capital over there, because you don't know if that league set up where the players gonna get some equity. You don't know if the league set up where they gonna be able to, you don't really know the inner workings. But I definitely know they would attempt to pull somebody, like that, and then don't think that Cheryl Miller haven't whispered in Caitlin Clark's ear.
Of course. But let me ask you this: how significant, if at all, is it that they have Donna Orender over there, former WNBA commissioner?
Huge, because it gives them a parallel power base in that Kathy has no more experience and cachet than this young lady has, and so she knows the inner workings, and so she gonna know where to pull from. You got disgruntled, like that disgruntled employee. You got disgruntled ball players who feel they've been disrespected. And that goes a long way. I mean, I'm just looking at how they kind of operating. WNBA better sit at the table with them ladies. They're gonna look up and they'll be a G League.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, Malik, it's okay. We sent up the smoke signal. You didn't come. We'll try again. They say they'll be back. Let's talk about the fuel behind every move in sports. It's the money, right? It's always the money. Take away the hype. Get them highlight reels out the way. It always comes back to the economics. Who gets paid? Who gets seen? Who get left out? Smashing records right now in women's hoops. 2.2, like I said, WNBA media deal. Arenas is packed. Most watched finals game since the inaugural season. Fan engagement is on fire. You can't get enough content out there for us to be able to for us to take it in. We they can't get it up fast enough for us to eat it up, right? And then here comes the contradiction. The players that built the brand, grew the culture, carried the weight, and they can't get paid. They still fighting for their fair cut. So now here come Upshot League, smaller scale, regional play. They selling that community first economics. But is that real independence or a smaller slice of the same pie? Visibility is money. Control the cameras, you control the narrative. Control the narrative, you control the checks. So if Upshot doesn't own his story, broadcast, streaming, digital rights, somebody else is. That's the line between being seen and being sold. So if this league wants true economic freedom, it can't stop its sponsorships. It has to own the media. It got to own the merch. It's got to own the message. So, that's where the players missed on this go round. Got to own everything. We talked about what is it? What was it? Was it how many streams? Is it 10 streams? 10
I think it's almost 13 with the game day revenues.
Okay, 13 BRI. Okay. The WNBA is finally hitting $1 billion valuations. I mean, we saw Golden State go through the roof, but players are still fighting for fair revenue sharing and something to eat for the game. What's your take on how money and media are being used as control tools? Like, and how could leagues like Upshot really flip that dynamic to empower players really instead of exploiting them?
See, the WNBA, they're using the conventional mainstream media, and so as a player, you look, you trying to tie that into what kind of sponsorships you could get, what kind of deals could be made from that type of visibility and stuff like that. But unfortunately, here comes social media. Here come a player like Angel Reese, who was not able to use any of the mainstream media, to get out there, but yet she out there. So she's putting together a blueprint that is bypassing that gatekeeper. So the league is no longer in a position where they're making the athletes. And these athletes are out here making it on their own. So, and with streaming, and you don't know who's going to pop up with a streaming deal, because the WNBA, I mean, the NBA done pissed off some people out there, cutting with the deal they just cut, the $77 billion deal. And so they clicked out some people. That's how TNT wind up, coming with this $100 million. You probably have other networks, major networks, that want to bring women's basketball. Well,
if it's not,
it could get ugly.
Even if it's not a major network, right? Even if it's not a major
secondary market network.
I joked about Ion, but thank goodness for Ion. Thank goodness for Ion. Ion liked women's sports enough that they became the home of women's sports. And I hope that these leagues continue to recognize them and keep them in the mix. I joked a lot about Ion, for real. I did. But all jokes aside, Ion, out of everybody who's streaming women's basketball, they're the only one that made a pregame and a postgame and a halftime show.
Yeah.
They're the only ones. Whether you like them or not, every time I see that man, I think I'm finna get he looked like a Baptist minister. I feel like we're gonna get a sermon. But I appreciate the fact that they were there for women's basketball when nobody else was. And so maybe you could see an Ion cut out a nice little niche where they're the home of these leagues that are popping up until we figure out where they're going. Nubian Sage say, if the WNBA is still on strike, Unrivaled 5-on-5 might start up something to keep basketball going in the summertime. Yeah, I mean, Unrivaled could, but you got this league already that's got 4 teams ready to go in May. And when I think about Unrivaled in the summertime, maybe they do go 5-on-5. I'm not going to cut that out. I'm not saying that couldn't happen, but I thought that their move with signing the college players was that the college players would do something in the summertime if they weren't playing in the 3X or USA. But we also got World Cup coming up next year.
Right.
So it's an interesting time. It's an interesting time in basketball because if it ain't no WNBA going on, how is the World Cup team getting in shape and staying in shape and staying basketball ready? What do we do there? So this is a fascinating time to see how this thing goes. But okay, you say visibility isn't the same as value, right? If the Upshot League really wants to disrupt, how can they redefine value Lil, beyond sponsorships and TV deals? What does that new model look like in real time?
That's gonna come down to how they disperse their equity for these players. You gotta look at the pain points of the players. What are they looking for? They're looking for ownership. The buzzword in this century is ownership of anything. It's just, and that's where your power base is going to come from. These women want to be in a league where they can be included in the growth of the league, where they can be at the table when they're doing TV negotiation. I mean, you imagine somebody like Nafisa coming into that league with all the knowledge she, has of the league that her husband runs. I mean, just that kind of cultural cachet and knowledge could be very valuable to starting a new league. Because y'all remember we said, hey, if you can't give me a seat at the table, I'm gonna build my own table, because that's the mindset of these young people now. They just not gonna fall under the old regime. And I don't think we know they're not being valued by the WNBA. That's apparently clear. But if another league comes in and say, hey, we'll give you the value you're asking for, we'll pay you the $1 million salaries, and who's gonna compete with that? And remember, every league don't have to jump out here and start. Remember, you got other threats. You got a Midwest threat. You got 4 or 5 teams out in California. Like you said, they could look up and it's 16 teams, combined and operated, because you got one central person. Their league office is in Jacksonville, Florida. So you have one central location. You have an organization that has experience running leagues. So this is a big deal, because however this pans out, it's gonna last until the next 10, maybe 15, 20 years in terms of how women's basketball is gonna roll out. So right now, everybody jockeying for position. How is women's basketball going to evolve in the next couple of decades? That's the real question.
I mean, yeah, we got to check this out. I just did a little check. Now we got who is this? We got the women's ABA.com, the Women's American Basketball Association. Now they deadline. They got the Steel City Queens, the Maryland Monarchs, the Kentucky On Point Swish, the Edgewood Lady Panthers, the Atlanta Angels, the Lady Wolves. I mean, listen, Greensboro Chaos, the Mississippi Queens, the Richmond Road Runners, the Virginia, I can't see the name here, DC Cyclones, the Raleigh Aces, Winston-Salem Lady Warcats. So, I mean, it's teams out. It's leagues out here, Lil. There's leagues out here. This is a pro league. We got another league, the WNBL, the United States, set to tip off September 26th. Set to debut May 2026. Direct partner of the National Basketball League, United States. These teams out here. It's a inaugural season, gonna be 12 teams, 20 game regular season starting May 30th, 2026. It got some teams coming out. So this is listen, people are trying to get into the money of this, and it's gonna be opportunities out here. Let's see. Yes, new leagues like Upshot need to own their revenue and money. Too many hands be on the pot and own the streaming. What you got to keep partnering with somebody for? Cut your YouTube on. Get you some followers.
Exactly.
Stream it on your website. Make people pay you. Get your app. That's the thing I keep trying to figure out. What do you keep trying to put it on somebody else's platform for? Own it. Do your own pregame. Do your own postgame. Do your own halftime show. You don't have to have all of that. Hold on 1 second, y'all.
Mm.
We realize the WNBA will have 6 or 7 other competitors by 2026. Do the WNBA realize? Sorry about that, y'all. Does the WNBA realize? That's the question. That's who needs to know that the competition is out there. But let's get into what might be the real heartbeat of the Upshot movement. Culture in the community. Can they build a lasting league without soul? No, because you can't buy soul. You got to be rooted in that. Greensboro, Charlotte, Savannah, Jacksonville. Those are 4 southern cities with basketball DNA, and they got cultural weight. Not to mention, I think it may be an HBCU in every one of them cities or close by.
Mm-hmm.
Not random, intentional. They saying, we see you, South. We see your players, your fans, your legacy. Listen, for too long, women's hoops been framed around New York, LA, Chicago. Meanwhile, South Carolina been turning out star after star after star. Georgia. Think about Georgia. If they'd have kept some of their stars home. Raven, Flaugier, Sanaya Fagan. Keep some of these stars home. How do you not keep these stars in your state? The South get treated like background noise. This right here flipped the script, and the South becomes center stage. You got to think about, listen, we're not going down there to Greenville and Greensboro every year with these college tournament championships because it's not women's hoops down in these areas. These players is coming out of there, been coming out of there. Ivory Latta, Khadijah Sessions. Think about the name, Asia Wilson. Think about the names that came out of these areas already. This is the deeper play. Got the HBCU culture, the church culture, the family culture, places where the game lives in the community, not just the arena. It spills over into the community. Get that community that good community buy-in. You ain't got to worry about if your team got a pre-game meal when you down south. You know what? That good Southern hospitality. You're gonna make sure your players eat for it's time for the game. Do you hear me? Let an auntie from down south hear somebody hungry for the game. You don't think they're gonna pull up? Yeah, Unrivaled, AU, Upshot, Exalt, Project B, WNBL, 3x3BA, AEBL. Don't forget about them. They've been here. Yeah, these leagues is out there. You got the, what is this league they calling this up here? The WBL with the Grand Rapids team and the Indiana team. These teams is around here. The money is out here. So if Upshot leans into that game spilling into the community, then you get kind of like a buy-in, like what you see at the South Carolinas, right? Brick by brick, grassroots, fam traveling, because you brought us in from the beginning. You made it about the community from the beginning. So partner with the HBCUs, empower Black women coaches, invest in the local economies, do some clinics, get some access back, get some career paths into non-basketball playing positions in this industry. Executive roles, trainers, coaches, marketing, websites, social media. It's more than a league. It becomes a movement rooted in the very people who carry the sport all along. So if you've always said, Lil, you said the South is both the soul and the struggle of American culture, right? So how do you see this Southeast strategy playing out politically? Is Upshot reclaiming space that's been overlooked? Or is there a risk that this community first angle becomes just another marketing slogan? Let me know.
No, I don't think it's going to become just another marketing slogan. I mean, I played South softball in the South.
Okay.
All these small towns, places I had never heard of in the South, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. And I'm telling you, the culture around sports, even at that level, is real. They were serious. We had clubs connected. We had food restaurants, all kind of small time businesses, connected to them softball games, and people came out, so it's and having something not, just semi-pro, but if you have something on a pro level in towns, because I'm gonna tell you something, surprisingly, a lot of these towns have stadiums that they can put 10,000 people in. They got places and spaces they can repurpose, to sponsor a pro team. This is no joke.
You just made me think about something. Now, what if some place like Overtime Select decided they just want to let some grown people play too? Think about them. They already got a whole infrastructure. And all of them young people that came through there and played AAU basketball and overtime select basketball right there in their facility already. Now, think about them players that came through there and that may not have jobs now. What if there's an overtime select pro league? Where they already know these kids, where they done already mastered partnering with them in their brand, where they done already empowered them in front of the camera with the microphone, whatever it is that y'all want to do. Think about how overtime move with these young people. They got the facility, they got the infrastructure. They just ain't doing grown-ups right now. But what if they decide, we'll turn this thing up and we won't just do it in the summertime? Listen, and they say political. It's funny you said that. My mother played semi-pro softball in the South and in the North. Okay. Now, let's talk legacy, Lil. If the Upshot League really embeds itself in these cities, connected with the HBCUs, the local sports culture, like I'm talking about, could it become the blueprint for how future leagues grow? Or will Main Street still gatekeep who gets to define what big-time sports looks like?
No, I don't think. See, the internet and streaming, that's gonna kill that gatekeeping method. I believe there will eventually be leagues where it won't be nobody but the players and the fans invested. Decentralized athletic organizations. That's what I see in the real future. Because number one, fans want to, fans could become investors. They like that Green Bay model. You see how quick they killed that. They didn't let that run on, nowhere else. But these gatekeepers, that system is gonna die out eventually. I believe, and I think that they won't have that stranglehold on sports like they have now. This could become a blueprint, especially, depending on how they roll out the equity piece. That's the main piece. I'm waiting to hear how they're going to roll that out, because with the success of the Unrivaled League, and rolling out that equity, if you could walk right in out of college into a situation where you got equity in a league, the bottom line is you're going to have to change the equation for the labor, because the labor knows their value now. You just didn't know your value. They kept that under wraps like they've been doing, WNBA been pulling. But people want partnerships, not dictatorships. Partnerships.
Collaboration. Absolutely.
The way labor is set up in this country and has been set up since its inception is that, labor has no real power. We've had some periods where they had some power, but these people at the top, they just don't understand things change over time. We went from a slavery model to a sharecropping model, to a union model. Now people looking for a partnership and ownership model. That's going to be the wave of the future. And so these old time dinosaurs, they're going to have to step aside eventually. I don't right now, I don't see the WNBA having any real leverage to sit up there and say what they ain't gonna do. When I can go, this ain't football, this is basketball. You can go play on the playground and still draw a crowd. Look at Rucker Park in New York. So this stance that they got, that's some old, white supremacy ideology, and they have to get out of that. What difference do it make if you partner with somebody and y'all making money? That's why I really don't understand their attitude. It's just a partnership. You see it worked with the guys. Why you so focused on putting the women in the kitchen? I guess you can't think of them as partners, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It's so interesting because now I wonder, could we see another Unrivaled type thing pop up? We got all of these leagues, but what if some other players just say, you know what, the hell with it, we're gonna make our own WNBA? LeBron got this. I don't know if it's LeBron, Maverick Carter. I'll say Maverick Carter because that's the name I keep hearing. They pulled the $5 billion back. They want to look for a league that rivals the WNBA. Does that mean that they're investing in Upshot? Does that mean that they're buying up all of these leagues and infrastructure to make a league? Are they doing something totally different? It's so much potential competition, right? You just don't see where you don't know where it's going to come from, but you have to be sure that it has to be the end of what we've been looking at, right? We can't be getting ready to go with that again. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they're locked in what for the next decade. This CBA coming up is it's a long lock in. The players cannot fold. They gotta hold. They can't fold because you're gonna kill everything coming behind you if you do what NECA did last time, and fold for the sake of them getting back on the court. You can't. You gotta stick to your guns. You gotta battle this one out because it's gonna be locked in for too long. You can't let nobody come and punk you out the revenue.
Let me ask you that. Do you think they should agree to this a 10-year deal? Like maybe you shouldn't lock in 10-year deals. Maybe the CBA needs to be reviewed a little more often in this new economy, in this new branding, in this new era of ownership. Maybe you shouldn't own the rights to negotiate like this or to do business like this for 10 years. Because maybe we need to do business different in 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, whatever that is. There needs to be some type of flexibility. I'm tired of us getting up, smart as we is as a nation, smart as we is as a world. We keep getting up doing the same old shit that we've been doing from way back when, knowing that there are some better ways for us to get things done. Let's not be afraid of trying some new stuff. Fans said they want a team in Charlotte, but Kathy said there was a loss in that area. I find that hard to believe. So Big Drip also said Charlotte wasn't ready. So I'm okay with it not being Charlotte. Don said, sorry, Charlotte, y'all not ready. Philly first.
So Philly first. Yeah. Yeah, Philly first. I got that. But I wouldn't I don't know, Cess. No way I would. What they doing sound like some record company shit. When they lock you into the
absolutely.
Oh, you gonna do 6 albums, it's gonna take you 12 years to do them. They don't need to lock in that long. No, that's too long. It should be revisited every 5 years. I don't believe that's
be the cut a record and they left it on the shelf, Lil. All that cut a record and left it on the shelf. Like
right, you never heard it.
You never heard it, and you never will. Man, I got a jam down there at such and such records. Well, yeah, but you'll never hear it because such and such and them ain't letting it go.
And don't you wonder why the WNBA would even be asking you for a 10-year deal? Doesn't that seem odd to you? That they want to lock it in? Yeah, because they want to lock you in that sharecropper.
Especially when you coming out telling me I ain't getting no percentage.
And let's not talk revenue shares. I was looking at him like
crazy. That's where the conversation starts at revenue shares. It's not a conversation if it's not revenue shares.
Exactly. Because see, everybody keeps saying they want an increase in pay. Now we want an increase in revenue. They ain't worrying about getting that gets you paid. An increase in revenue gets you paid.
Exactly. Nobody told you that I wanted a raise. I was clear about what I said. Open up the books.
Mm-hmm.
Basketball related income, 48 to 50% of that. That's what we said. All streams. Of all streams of basketball related income. We were clear. And I don't know how you came back and didn't hear that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When they try to mishear you. Nah, you didn't mishear me. That ain't what I thought. And don't come telling me what we gonna get. See, when you come telling me what we gonna get already, that let me know that you're not negotiating in good faith. And are you sitting at the table anyway? But you telling us what we not gonna get. Are you so you involved? See, then come sit at the table. Because you've been acting like this was her out here. So as you, Adam, sit down. Let's talk about it. We covered the promise and the potential. Let's talk pressure points. Every new league, hey, it shines at launch. Sustainability separates hype from history. That's the test Upshot got to pass. See, it's basically like one of them new soul food restaurants opening in your neighborhood. That's what it is right now. You know, it's really good. Oh man, woo-wee, man, get down there, get you some of the some other steak or something, whatever it is you get down there, man. Oh, you can't get enough of the greens that first month. Then they made a little money, and they, the family didn't got their paychecks, and they ain't coming to work like they used to, and the portions ain't big as they used to be, and they ain't nice as they was when you come in there. Upshot can't turn into that. They gotta sustain the standard that they come in with. So building a league, it's gonna take more than talent. Gotta have a structure. Who on the team? Who control the revenue? Who's accountable when the check bounce? When the check bounce, who's accountable? That's the part we got to get clear with. Too many women's leagues had heart, no infrastructure. The real battle is not fan interest. It's gonna be staying power. Fans is interested. If they playing hoop, we coming to see it. Now, can you lock in the long-term funding? 8-figure initial capital raising and funding sounds wonderful, right? Can they lock in the long-term funding, the national media deals, stable operations? Inspiration ain't gonna keep the lights on. Can't pay not one bill with inspiration. Got to have an investment behind that inspiration. Okay, you can be as inspired as you want to. If you ain't got some investment to pay the bills, don't even start. So the twist is this: the money is moving. Billionaires, brand. Listen, they circling women's sports like never before. I just told y'all they dropping a baseball league. We got about 7, 8 basketball leagues I didn't even know about. Soccer is doing what it want to do here. LeBron and Maverick Carter pivoted from their investment to put they billions not into the W but into women's hoops. That flips that power map. And so now the alternative it's not fringe. It's a real contender. It reshaped the business and politics of women's game. So we know passion builds a movement, but money builds a system. So what does true sustainability look like for a women's sports league that's trying to compete in this male-dominant marketplace?
Listen, stability is everything. But the key thing here, the public-private partnership. I think that's going to be the main stability anchor for this particular league. The fact that you could because the city and the state got way more money and avenues and resources than any private enterprise. So, that's going to be a big thing with them. If they could keep that public-private partnership going and building this league, I think they'll go a long way towards keeping it stable and not having it, fall apart as quick as it came. And then I don't know how many leagues, and I haven't researched this, start with 8 figures as opposed to 7. 8 figures is that's pretty good. And if that's across every team, that's some viable stability. I think they realize that they have to, have a certain stability to even compete and to stay alive long enough, even if they were to be absorbed, if the WNBA ever got their stuff together. But, that's going to be the main thing, I think, in the early years, is keeping that public-private partnership with the cities that are supporting them.
Okay, that's fair. So it's being led by credible names. We talked about it. Donna Orander, Taj McWilliams Franklin. We talked about the investment. What kind of structure and ownership model do you think what they need to make this league more than just a moment? Right? Like what kind of structure and ownership model? We've been talking about the equity. What does that look like for you to be successful?
Well, they already, you already got solid names. The league headquarters down there in Florida, that and I can't remember the corporation's name, but they have a portfolio of professional teams that they've been able to sustain, and it's a pretty sizable portfolio. So I think they're going to do, well there. But in order to attract the talent, that's the main thing. Nobody coming to see you, Otis. But in order to attract the talent, you're going to have to do something that no other league is doing. You're going to have to offer an equity package or ownership package that they can't get anywhere else if you're going to attract these huge names. And so, those two things I think are going to be the biggest factors in how this league does and how it stays grounded, as it goes through its growing pains. I think another clever thing was the ticket price point. That's a reasonable price point because I think on average the tickets at the WNBA are in the $85 range. So this that's a reasonable point for people that's going to be your season ticket holders. And then $15, I could take the whole family, neighbor down the street, little girl across the across the street. A whole lot of people could do a whole lot, with those kind of
load up the van. You can load up the van.
Yeah,
Get the church van out and go to the game.
That's what I'm saying. You're looking for with this high entertainment. See, leagues like the WNBA, they going for an elite fan. That's fans with money where you could go spend $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 a game. You don't have working families that can afford to come out their pocket like that, but they want to be entertained. Absolutely. They want to have somewhere to go to. And so whether the price point rises or falls, it depends on whether they can attract the type of sponsorship where they can keep ticket sales down. Right now the WNBA pricing and stuff is based on the fact that they the only game in town, so to speak. So once you got other competitors, then you gotta have competitive pricing. So I think that's a big thing there.
Well, let's spice it up a little bit. LeBron didn't run around here with this $5 billion. Could a $5 billion cash infusion completely rewrite the power map of women's basketball? How much a threat would that be to the Dub?
It's a serious threat because what they got coming in, $1 billion, over their next four teams that's coming in. I mean, number one, the money is there. You don't have to gather it. And then an infusion like that could immediately allow you to raise the salaries. That, and then they have media and production companies. That's another avenue and connection that Carter has that he could probably, he could utilize to help the league. So, before you know it, you'll be looking up and, they'll be as visible as the WNBA, even though they're in what you call secondary markets. So a cash infusion like that would have that would have the WNBA at the table, just pulling up the chairs just a little closer. Okay, let's see what we could do. Because you don't want to lose your stars. So right now, the labor is kind of sitting in a good place, because they could make a move, they could flip this thing on its head. Yeah, I think an infusion like that would be catastrophic to the WNBA, I believe, because then don't forget, the Saudis might come knocking again. They got some unlimited money here.
Mm-hmm.
And they might come in and say, okay, you put your $5 billion, I'm gonna give another $5 billion. You just don't know the craziness that may happen, from that, because people are looking to park their dollars. I don't know if the world economy is about to crash or what's going on in the political arena, but apparently people are looking to set their money into women's sports.
Mm-hmm.
As the new frontier. So this is it could be big, Cess. Carter putting his money in there. And I just find it odd that as soon as he decided to pull out the Saudi deal, which was a threat to the NBA, and then them switching over saying, "No, we're gonna go with a woman's league," but they not that they looking, to do the WNBA. I don't think they were looking in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
So then they looking into a direction that's gonna get them a little more control. And here this league come, with some superstar infrastructure. They have superstar infrastructure over there. It's not. It ain't Kathy who know how to crunch numbers. Ain't never seen a basketball bounce. It ain't none of that. These people done been in the pro game. They done been in the overseas game. They done been in the USA game. You see what I'm saying? So they got the whole picture potentially on lock. So it's gonna be interesting because the future of women's basketball is at stake here.
Absolutely. So we're gonna get ready to close this conversation up. But it's never just hoops, right? It's power, it's positioning, it's purpose. Upshot could be special. It's definitely a reimagining of women's sports built on culture, community, control. But potential doesn't always equal revolution. We know that. And it's about intent. Who builds it? Who benefits? Who controls the mic when the story gets told? And today's conversation was just about the crossroads. We're at a crossroads. One path is innovation and equity. The other is duplication and distraction. So, if Upshot gets this thing right, it can draft a new blueprint for, power sharing. But if it drifts, it's another lesson in how good ideas get co-opted before they grow. Mm-hmm. So the game is shifting fast. New money, new leagues, new politics, but progress without power, sharing that's just performance. So women's basketball, and especially for Black women, I think it deserves more than performance. It deserves ownership, it deserves leadership, and it deserves the legacy. So Lil, what are your thoughts about the movement?
It's just all I can say is it's a pretty good time to be in women's basketball, and I think it is a movement. I don't think it's just a moment. I think it's a real movement, and I think that even with the CBA, all that's going to be huge. This Southern hospitality layout of basketball, I think is going to be something to contend with. I like what they're doing with the hiring of Black coaches and giving other people opportunities. So the biggest takeaway is that these conversations only matter if we turn them into action. As fans, you're watching, listening, sipping along with us. You have to engage. It's up to us to keep this kind of movement alive and allow the players that we love to become, equity partners, and then, eventually have a pathway to ownership, a pathway to coaching, and a pathway to the executive suite. And so that's what I think the revolution of women's basketball can produce out here in these times.
So I know you got a call to action. I know you got a call to action. You got what you got?
Look, you got to follow them players. You got to support the leagues. You need to get online, RespectHerGame.Online, and become an advocate. Help us build and uplift and protect these women as they fight for equity and fair pay. Against a backdrop of power that's been entrenched for a very long time. And when you talk about the league and talk about the players, make sure you use the hashtag RespectHerGame every time you post, debate, or defend these women online. Because basketball isn't just a sport. It's a new civil rights frontier, and every share, every voice, every dollar of attention you invest is part of that fight. So don't just watch, participate. And when new leagues come online, find out what's going on with them.
Facts. I mean, that's straight talk. No chaser. That's how we're gonna close this thing. Big love to everybody who pulled up. Listen, it's not lost on us that y'all could be anywhere. It's not lost on us that we don't have the funnest conversations. We not up here cracking a lot of jokes. This is serious business, and we up here opening eyes. And we do appreciate, that y'all pull up and support. We appreciate the likes, the shares, the super chats, all of that. These conversations mean more than basketball, right? These are the conversations that we have to have. These are the actions that we have to take so that we can continue to, come and enjoy basketball the way that we've enjoyed it. So we got to support and push back and support these ladies. So we appreciate the way y'all pulled up and poured into the conversation tonight. But don't get too comfortable. Don't get cozy. Don't get to scooching down in the bed and get real comfortable. Because next week we finna crank the heat back up. WNBA CBA Reckoning. The series is coming. We laying out the labor battle fight, money rights, recognition on the line. The question is, does this head to an owner's lockout, a player strike, a civil rights showdown under Title VII, antitrust, that flips the business of women's sports forever? This is what we're watching, man. History in real time. Frame it right. We're gonna pull Malcolm X into the mix, connecting this moment of athlete activism to a modern civil rights labor fight. So y'all stay locked in. This is just the beginning. Sports aren't just games. They're stories we tell and the systems we expose. Cess, your favorite not to Uncle Tendencies, political live. Sipping tea, spilling truth. Until next time, y'all stay tuned. Talk soon, y'all. We out.